I'm going to take your guys' non-answers as you're doing good. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'll have questions at the end, or availability for questions at the end. So if you have questions, just write them down, hold them till the end, and then we'll talk about it. So today I am recording this. So if you have to hop off early, I'll be trying to figure out how to record, save, and send it to you. I'm becoming very tech savvy lately. So you'll get this recording. I'll try to send it later tonight. So today we're going to talk about the 5 most common dieting mistakes women over 30 make. And specifically, I wanted to talk about women over 30 because our bodies really do change when we get out of our 20s. And sometimes we even start noticing that in our late 20s. And then I swear, as you hit 30, things just really change. And the way you approach, if weight loss is your goal, the way you approach that has to change as well. So we're going to talk about those 5 dieting mistakes, how they are negatively impacting your health, how they're holding you back from reaching your goals, and how we can change our approach to nutrition to see the results we want. Okay, so getting into number 1. You want quick fixes because that's what's worked for you in the past. So kind of like I just mentioned, in our 20s, if you tried dieting in your 20s, it probably felt a lot easier to diet. Your first diet usually feels super easy. You're able to do it. It wasn't super hard and you got the results you wanted. I remember the first time I did a diet, I was just finishing my freshman year of college and I gained 15 pounds. In that summer, I decided I wanted to lose weight. I started getting on a regular workout schedule, started eating and tracking calories on MyFitnessPal. It was super easy. I was back to where I wanted to be at the end of the summer. However, now as we get older, it doesn't feel that way. And there's a reason for this. So what happens is our body stops responding due to a lowered metabolism, imbalance in hormones, which is really big amongst women. And that's why we need to separate weight loss for women and men, because women respond differently, and also more stress on the body. So when we are stressed, when we are in a deficit, when we are eating under our maintenance calories, that is putting stress on our body. And what typically happens is most women don't even know what their maintenance calories are. And your maintenance is when you are burning the same amount of calories that you were eating. So essentially at your maintenance, you're not gaining or losing any weight. And most women don't even know where that is. So a lot of the times these diets make us believe that eating less is actually better, but it's actually creating all these imbalances in our hormones. And it's also just leading to chronic stress. So our body really needs time to heal from this. And we need to focus on building healthy habits and doing what is called a reverse diet to help regulate our hormones and ramp our metabolism back up. And I'm going to get back to reverse diets. Let me check my chat, see if you have any questions. We'll talk about how to find them as we go on. So what we need to do is we need to veer away from instant gratification diets. And I know this is super hard because you see those ads where it's like, lose 20 pounds in 30 days. And it just sounds so perfect and inviting. And that's exactly what you want. So I see why your mind wants you to do that. You want these quick fixes. But if you could choose between instant gratification with results only lasting a few months or delayed gratification with results lasting the rest of your life, I want you to think about which one you would choose. If you want to do instant gratification, by all means, you can do a fad diet, but just know that those habits, you're not actually creating habits. Those rules that they have, you're not going to be able to maintain them. So you're likely going to fail. And while the latter might take you, and I'm just being 100% realistic here because I feel like a lot of coaches don't say this, it takes 6 months to 3 years to actually get to a place where you're content. And obviously this depends on where you're starting, what your dieting history looks like, how imbalanced your hormones are. There's so many factors. But wouldn't you rather work on building these lifelong behaviors that are going to make you feel your best, regulate your hormones, improve your overall health, including physical, mental, and emotional, upregulate your metabolism so you're burning more calories and you can eat more, all of those yummy foods that you love, allow you to enjoy time with friends and family without guilt, going out to restaurants, going to weddings, whatever it is that you enjoy, date nights, all that kind of stuff. You can do it, you can get results, and you can also enjoy your time and not feel ashamed about what you did. And also, on top of that, wouldn't you want to heal your relationship with food in your body? So moving on to number 2, and this one really does tie into the first one, your plan to reach your goals are just way too drastic. So if you are someone who is new to nutrition and fitness, or maybe you've taken a lot of time out and you're going from no workouts and really no nutrition background, maybe you're eating out every single dinner, or you're doing, microwave meals, whatever that is, and you start to do a plan that has you doing 5 to 7 workouts a week, meal prepping every single day, and being super specific on those meals, you're likely going to burn out and fail. I think when we get into a diet, we kind of end up in this mindset where we're so upset with ourselves that we're like, okay, I'm ready for this diet. I'm ready for this challenge. Sorry, excuse me. And when we think about the challenge, we're like, well, it needs to be difficult in order for me to do it. So we kind of throw ourselves in, we think this difficult diet is what we need, when in reality, the goal should be to slowly incorporate habits into your life that are going to be easy to stick to long term. So I would rather you think about a task and its mental difficulty for you. If you don't think you can complete that task with at least 90% certainty, the action may be too hard. Life is already hard enough with work, with kids, with whatever you have going on. If we are trying to add in these really difficult tasks, it's going to feel overwhelming. It's going to be too much on our plate. And then we're not going to feel like we're going to be able to do it. And we're going to fail. And then we're going to feel terrible. So instead, we want to pick tasks that are going to be simple so we can actually incorporate it into our life for the long term. So some of the restrictive diets that you have most likely done or come across are ones that cut out full food groups. So why is this bad? Unless you have an actual food allergy or a medical condition, there is literally no reason to remove full food groups. And it actually can have a negative impact on your overall gut health. So if you are removing full food groups for a long enough period of time, we actually have enzymes in our gut that help digest those foods. And those will get turned off if we stop eating them. And so if we decide we want to reintroduce those foods, our body has a difficult time breaking them down and digesting them. Thus, we start to feel like we have gut issues, stomach aches, bloating, all those things that don't feel great to your gut. You can actually develop those from cutting out full food groups that aren't affecting you to begin with. This is like an example, like gluten is a great example for this. I think gluten got, everyone stopped eating gluten. So everyone was like, yeah, I have a gluten allergy, I'm going to cut it out, when they really didn't. So unless you have a medical condition or you're working with a dietitian who is doing an elimination diet with you, you should not be cutting out full food groups. And then the second dieting thing that I see is just there's so many food rules. So it's like restricting your calories to 1,500, even 1,500 is super low. You can't even eat any breads, no grains. You have to minimize your fruit intake, no sugar, no dairy, no alcohol. Essentially, it's cutting out all the fun in your life. And the truth is that this turns into an all or nothing mindset. So it can lead to restrict and binge, because if you are cutting out something that you truly love, if you tell yourself you can't have something, this is with anything in life. If you tell yourself you can't have something, you're going to want it even more. So instead of cutting it out and telling yourself you can't have it, limit it. Allow yourself to have it at, in portions, so that you don't end up restricting and then binging later on that specific food. And then lastly, a lot of these diets like to say that it's your lack of control as why you keep failing these diets. And the truth is that you're failing these diets because they don't promote lifelong behaviors and balance in your life. You can eat the foods that you love and still work towards your goals using flexible macro tracking, which is what I'm going to talk about and help you guys with in my Master Your Macro small group coaching program, which we will talk about later. Number 3, you follow plans that don't work for your body and your goals. I had a post on Instagram the other day of doing a body check plus showing what I eat in a day. And I was kind of talking about how influencers, they do these body checks with what they eat in a day, essentially saying, hey, if you eat like me, you can look like me. And it's just genetically impossible. If you ate everything that I ate every single day, you would still look completely different because you're genetically different than me. Our full body builds, like fat, muscle, everything is different. Our goals are different. What we do for our workouts is different. Our stress levels are different. There's just so many things that separate you from every other person. And so that's why the right diet for you is not going to be the right diet for someone else. And so you have to play around with portions of your food, of carbs, fats, and protein, while also using biological feedback. So like paying attention to stress levels, hunger cues, your like fatigue levels, energy levels, those kind of biological feedbacks to really figure out what your body needs. So I'm just going to give you a few examples of sometimes what we don't even realize is our body telling us what it needs. So if you're eating and at the end of the day, you feel like you need a midnight snack, like to call these snack attacks, that's your body telling you that you need more food. So that's not your lack of control. It's your body physically asking for more food. If you're working out and you feel lightheaded or weak, this is your body telling you you need more food and most likely carbs. I know this firsthand because I did a Whole30 diet when I was in college, and Whole30 pretty much, it's kind of keto. You're allowed to have potatoes. That's about the only carb you're allowed to have. And I was doing CrossFit at the time and I almost passed out. It took me a week to realize that the reason why I felt lightheaded and like I was going to pass out in my class was because I was doing that diet and I wasn't eating any carbs. So carbs are not bad. They're not scary. They're your body's main source of energy and you need them, especially if you're working out. If you never feel satisfied after eating, or maybe you feel hungry an hour after you eat your meal, this is your body telling you that you may have not eaten enough during that last meal, or you didn't get enough protein in. Protein is something that I find that people struggle with getting that in their diets. So make sure that you're getting enough protein in your diets. It's also going to help you feel more satisfied in your meals. So in turn, our bodies are smart. If we listen to them, we can get a lot of feedback on what we need. And I think that's where we miss the mark with diets, is that our diets kind of pull us away from what our body is telling us. And it's telling us, oh, let's just pay attention to the scale. That's all that matters. Or, you know, we need to eat less. That's all that matters. And to ignore the feedback your body is giving you. And that's what we need to actually do. We need to listen to our body more and stop listening to the scale, which we'll talk about that in a moment. So by tracking your food and your macros, which I'll talk about macros a little bit later, but that's essentially the carbs, fats, and protein that are in all of the food that we eat, you will have a better understanding of what you may be deficient in, and that will shift the needle in the right direction of actually reaching your goals. So you don't have to cut out your favorite foods. You can eat your favorite foods and still see results. Number 4, you are only focused on weight loss and not improving your overall health. So while most of you are probably here because you're struggling with weight loss, I actually think that disconnecting from your end goal is the most necessary thing that you need to do in order to actually reach your goal. And I know it sounds like, well, Hannah, my goal is weight loss, so why do I want to stop weighing myself? And the thing is that it's so emotionally taxing on your brain when we're weighing ourselves every single day, because the way I'm going to teach you how to do weight loss in a healthy manner is not going to be a quick fix. You're not going to see the scale go down. And in reality, what it's going to look like, it's like one of those charts where you're going down, but you're going up and down. But the whole line, if you took the oh my gosh, what is this called? If you took the average, it would have a line going down, but your weight's going to fluctuate up and down as you do it. So I know for me, there have been days where I've weighed myself. I don't weigh myself anymore. I know roughly around where I'm at, but I know that like mentally it's not good to weigh myself, just because it really does trigger negative emotions. And it will also trigger doing actions that are going to promote unhealthiness. And what I mean by that is you might be doing great, like your body is healing, you're eating more food, your hormones are becoming balanced, and then you weigh yourself and you're not lower, and then shit hits the fan, you're like, I have to go back into a diet, this isn't working for me. So that's why staying off of the scale and focusing on progress, like how your body feels, how your clothes feel, and how you're just feeling in general, is more important. And, you know, the other thing is obsessing over the scale is actually unhealthy for you, essentially. So when we ignore our biological feedback and we end up fighting our body's needs, this is what leads to imbalanced hormones, weight gain. And for women, one of the biggest weight gain cues that is related to hormones is actually weight gain at your midsection. Inflammation, bloating, low energy, high fatigue, poor workouts or your inability to gain muscle, brain fog, poor sleep. Another one for imbalanced hormones is if you're waking up between 1 and 4 a.m. every night, that is potentially a cortisol imbalance. And if your cortisol is imbalanced, it really throws off every other hormone. It's like a domino effect. So it's important to understand that you don't need to excessively restrict your calories to lose weight. And this is what most diets are promoting and what we need to push away from. So flexibly tracking your food can actually help you eat the right portion sizes for your body and your goals without having the symptoms that I showed you on the last page. So when we talk about weight loss, we don't want to excessively restrict our calories. So this is what I'm teaching in my Master Your Macros. I'm going to teach you how to calculate your maintenance calories. The maintenance is important because that's where your body is performing at its peak. It's where it feels the best. That's where the organs can function the best. It's where you're hitting your goals in the gym. It's where your sleep is optimum, your energy is high, your fatigue is low, inflammation is down. When we are at maintenance, that's when, again, I'm just going to explain it one more time. The amount of calories that you are consuming in one day is equivalent to the amount of calories that you were burning. So once we figure out that, we need to first figure out what your history looks like with dieting. So if you have been in a deficit, if you find that number, what I have clients do most of the time is just loosely track to see roughly how many calories they have been eating. And then from there, we most likely are going to be slowly working in what is called a reverse diet, which I talked about that earlier. So a reverse diet is going from a deficit, working back up to your maintenance calories. And you do it slowly so that your body, it's not like a huge shock to your body. So we do a reverse diet, work back up to maintenance, hold maintenance for at least 3 months, and then you can go into a cut. But it needs to be a slight cut. 10 to 15% of your maintenance is totally doable. All of these diets promote like 500 calories plus in a deficit, and that's just too much. And it's hard on your body. And that's what that high stress ends up affecting your body in terms of like, you stop seeing results and you start feeling shitty all the time. Those symptoms that I showed you before. So when we're in a cut, when we're in a deficit, we really don't want to sit there for more than 3 to 4 months, because that's when you'll start to, one, not see weight loss anymore. And if you start to plateau on your weight loss, that means that that stress is caught up with you. So you have 2 options here. And what most people do is they do the wrong option, which is if you start seeing no results, you start to drop your calories. You're like, well, I'm just going to keep dropping my calories. And then you see results again. And then you're like, well, I'm not seeing results anymore, so now I'm going to drop my calories. And that's how people end up at 1,200 calories still seeing no results. Instead, what you do is you drop those calories in deficit, but then you bring it back up to your maintenance after 3 to 4 weeks. 3 to 4 months, so that your body can heal. That is like the biggest thing here, is that you have to allow your body to heal. And then once you ultimately reach the goal that you want, then you just eat at maintenance, and you kind of understand better. At that point, you'll understand, like, what does my body need to function well? So it's not about tracking for the rest of your life. It's about understanding portion sizes for yourself, understanding what your body specifically needs. And then once you feel like you have that education down in terms of like how much you need to be eating and of what portions of carbs, fats, and protein, you don't need to track every single day. I don't track every single day. Most of the time I eyeball it, and I can do that because I know my body so well. Quick note on calculators and apps. So like MyFitnessPal, you can like put in your goals and it'll pop out calories that you should be eating. Most of the time it's like super absurd. If you're like, I want to lose 10 pounds in 1 month, it'll like cut your calories down extremely low. So that, and then online calculators for macros, keep in mind that neither of them are paying attention to your dieting history. Neither of them are taking into account your biological feedback. So while they can give you, like the online macro calculators, they can kind of give you a maintenance number of where your calories are. They can't physically understand like what you're doing as a human in terms of like what your history is, if your hormones are already imbalanced, what your workout intensity is. So that's why it's so important, in what we are going to talk about in my small group program, is how to pay attention. And I'll actually be giving you guys a log to understand how to track your biological feedback. I came from a biochemistry background. That's what my degree was. And one of the biggest things that we do is we take data and we analyze it. I really think this is exactly the same. We're taking data, we're analyzing it, and we're forming an analysis on like where we need to go next. So we take that data and we determine, okay, this is what happened this week. What do we need to focus on the next week? And then the last one. And this one is, kind of controversial, but I'll give you my take on it and my experience. You think changing your body will finally give you the joy you've been looking for. And I'm going to give you myself as an example of this, and then I'll talk about working with clients and what I've noticed. So the pic of me on the left, it's probably from like maybe even 7 years ago. I said 5, but it might actually be longer than that. Pic on the right was like from last year, where I'm a lot happier. Clearly, I'm way more lean on the left side, but I honestly still was picking my body apart. I would constantly stare at myself in the mirror. I would like find imperfections. Like I was searching for them. And I would always have negative experiences with binging. Like I would eat veggies and egg whites in the morning so that I could drink alcohol in the evening, and it turned into me binging after I drank. So it was this really unhealthy relationship I had with food. And then on the right side, this is me now. And while I might not be as lean, I don't pick my body apart anymore. I'm exercising because it feels good to me versus thinking about it as punishment. And I'm able to have balance in my life. If I want goldfish, I'll have it. If I want Oreos, I'll have it. Like you have to enjoy your life. And, I feel like even though, some people might say I looked better in the left side, I feel way better on the right picture. And I would pick that any day over the left side. So that's just an example of like, in terms of like weight loss, like not all weight loss is going to make you happy. And in terms of the clients I've worked with, what I noticed was that clients would see progress in their photos and then they still would be unhappy. And I struggled with that. I was like, well, they're seeing results. Why aren't they happy? And then I realized that, while I don't believe weight loss is inherently bad if you're doing it the right way, I do believe that working on accepting your body as you focus on improving your overall health is key to finding happiness and success in your journey. So quickly, I'm going to talk about what macros are if you're still confused, and then I'll talk about my program. And then if you guys have questions, I'm going to leave it open to you. So I gave a post the other day on the difference between calories, macronutrients, and micronutrients. And I think this is important and it helps understand. So your calories determine your weight, meaning if you're in a deficit, you lose weight. If you're in a surplus, you gain weight. If you're at maintenance, you maintain your weight. Your macronutrients determine how you look. And why that is because if we can actually shift to eating higher protein and balancing our carbs and our fats better, we can actually change our body composition, get fat loss while also gaining muscle, which is the ultimate goal. That's exactly what, like when people say they want to get toned, essentially they want to lose fat and gain muscle. That's exactly what it is. And then last, and I think very important, is the micronutrients, which are the vitamins and minerals. So if you think about all the colorful fruits and vegetables that come from the ground, that come from the earth, that's what's giving us those vitamins and minerals that our body needs to function properly. So it's good to just get a balance in a variety of colors. You can think of each color as a different vitamin. So if you're just getting a variety of those colors in your diet, you're most likely not going to be deficient in vitamins or minerals. And that's important because we don't want to supplement if we don't have to. We want to try to get our needs met through food. So in the Master Your Macros small group coaching group, we're going to be focusing on all three aspects. We're going to learn, like I mentioned before, where your individual maintenance calories are. I'm giving you a Master Your Macros guidebook, which we'll be doing live coaching calls every single week. So you will learn how to do that live with me. And then we're going to talk about how to go about your individual journey. And what I mean by that is there's beginners and there's advanced. If you're a beginner and you don't even have, if you're skipping meals, you don't have meals planned for the week, we might need to start with like, okay, we need to just break down like, how do we set up meals for the week? How do we balance our meals so that it's going to nourish our body better? We'll start there. But then as you get better and you get more consistent, because remember what I said, you got to start with easy, simple tasks before you work to really hard, complex tasks, or else you're going to fail and you're going to feel like overwhelmed. So we start with the simple tasks. And once we get that down and we feel comfortable, then we can move to, okay, well, why don't I try just tracking my protein? And once you get that down, it's like, okay, well, maybe I'll do protein plus calories just to see where I'm at. So we're doing steps. It's a stepping stone to learning how to track your macros while also not being obsessive with it. So I'll teach flexible macro tracking because the last thing I want is for you to get super obsessed with tracking and then that turns into something that's negative in your life. I want you to use macros as an approach to understand your body better, understand how to fuel it, and then also notice that you can live a non-restrictive life and gain weight or gain muscle or lose weight by doing this. So in this program, you're gonna get individualized help in a small group setting. And then, if any of these relate to you, this really is the program for you. So I'll just quickly go over these. Anyone who's new to nutrition and wants to learn, anyone who struggles with finding balance, anyone who takes that all or nothing approach mentality, if you've been struggling with yo-yo dieting or weight cycling for a really long time, if you want to lift more in the gym or gain muscle, if you struggle with weight loss and you're ready to give up quick fixes, anyone who feels guilty for eating out with friends and family. It's kind of the symptoms I talked about before, but if you have poor sleep, low energy, crappy workouts, mood swings, hair loss, high stress, hormone imbalances, weight gain and midsection, low sex drive, all of these are signs that the diet that you did was not working for you. And it's also signs that we need to balance your hormones, which we're going to do in this program. If you have no idea what a portion size looks like, I'm going to teach you. I'm going to teach you what is going to be best for you and your goals. And then anyone who's really looking for support, accountability, and a community that can help them reach their goals. I know that small group coaching kind of sounds intimidating because you're working with other people, but I've done it before. And while I was nervous at first, it was honestly the best experience because you relate to so many people. When you think that you're struggling with something and you allow yourself to speak up, and you're brave enough to speak up, you realize that so many others are struggling with that same thing, and that you can relate more than you think, and we can help each other come up with different ways to come up with solutions for those struggles. Lastly, just really quick, Zoom call every single week, daily support through a Voxer app. So we'll have a group chat where you can talk to me daily. You're going to get the Master Your Macro guide. You're going to have the Excel spreadsheet tracker for your biological feedback. I want to give you a breakdown of MyFitnessPal and how to use it the right way instead of obsessing over calorie tracking. And then we'll obviously work on individualized tasks and habit building. And then it starts September 5th will be that's the first week, and ends the week of November 21st, which is right before Thanksgiving. And early bird special is $4.99, which is, this is a 12-week program. So that literally comes down to $166 a month, which is like crazy because my prices for one-on-ones are so expensive. So this is literally a steal, or 3 payments of $190. And because you lovely ladies decided to join me tonight, I'm actually going to be opening up registration early because it wasn't going to start until Monday. But because I'm only having 10 spots available, I wanted to give you the opportunity to grab your spot. So after this call and after you guys ask questions, I will send that to you. I'm going to look at the chat and see what you guys have if you had any questions. Do you guys want to just ask questions, like unmute yourself and ask questions?
Hi, Hannah. It's Raina.
Hello.
Hello. I have a question.
Yeah.
So what is, okay, so I went to Whole Foods, or I don't know. Yeah, Whole Foods. And I asked the nice lady, and I asked her about a pre-workout and a post-workout powder.
Yeah.
And she is like, her son, she ran a marathon, it's the best one. I said, all right, fine. You know, I'm easy to convince. So I bought it, and I just think it's like, seriously, I feel it's just like a spoonful of sugar that I put in water, and it keeps me like hyped up, right?
It's
And
just
then
caffeine. Yeah.
and then the post one, it just gives me a tummy ache. It's like, oh my God. And they're so damn expensive, you know, like $50, $60.
Yeah. I mean, I can show you the protein powder I use, because I've gone through a lot of protein powders because I've had issues with supplements. I'm not a huge, I get reached out to by supplements all the time trying to get me to promote their supplements. I hate supplements. I don't, unless you, again, have like a medical condition or your doctor has told you need to supplement on something. Like I take like vitamin D, that's fine. Like that kind of stuff is fine. But like, I don't take BCAAs. I put protein powder in my drink. That's about it. I don't do pre-workout. I drink coffee. So like, you don't need them.
Okay.
As long, like I'm telling, and that's why I mean, like your diet, what you have in your meals, that should be sufficient to fuel your body the way you need it. That should be sufficient to give you the vitamins and the minerals and the macronutrients that you need. You shouldn't have to supplement to get those needs met.
Okay. All right.
So protein recommendations, it depends on the person. Usually it's like 1 gram per 1 pound of body weight. So like I shoot for 150, which is a lot. So usually when I'm working with clients, we start small and then we slowly build up. Protein is like, honestly, the biggest one that I see, especially with females, that they don't get enough. So if you can work on increasing your protein, you're going to feel more satisfied. You're going to feel stronger in the gym. It's really going to help. But then you also got to balance in those carbs and the fats as well. You can't just be having more of one macro and skipping the other two. Hold on, let me get mine. So what's actually funny is I tried to go vegan a couple years ago. I did pescatarian, went vegetarian, and then I tried to go vegan, and it was the worst experience of my life. I had never felt so terrible in my entire life. And I was trying to supplement my protein with powders, and I got completely constipated. My gut hated me. So this is just to say that, like, you know, vegan might work for someone else, but it didn't work for me. And that's just another example of like how we have to figure out what works best for us. We can't listen to other people tell us. So that's how I'm trying to help you guys. Like, how can we pay attention to what our body is telling us to tell us if this is working for us, or do we need to change what we're doing? But anyways, the reason why I say that is because the protein powder I had when I was doing the vegan upset my stomach so bad, and I was constipated all the time. And then I switched to this one, which is Garden of Life. You don't have to do the meal. They just have a normal protein powder. I have never had any stomach issues with this. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to do better than me. I mean, you got to try it for yourself, but the ingredients in here are a lot cleaner than a lot of the other ingredients and a lot of other supplements. So this one I would try. Ghost powder. Sounds scary.
I've never even heard of that protein powder that you have, Hannah.
Yeah,
I use the UMP right now. I actually like the UMP because it mixes well with stuff and I can actually bake with it. But I also, my best friend, because she used to be a fitness model, gets an awesome deal on it. So that's why I buy it. She gets it for me. But I was like, I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, if it doesn't bother you, then like go for it. I just find
with it, yeah.
Some supplements can like make you super bloated or inflamed or just give you gut issues. So you just, if you're feeling that, then you're definitely not, it's not the right supplement for you.
I always try to drink it and tell me, is this mind over matter or is it true? I drink a protein shake, just one scoop of it after my workouts, and I notice that I'm not as sore.
I think that could, I mean, so there have been studies, and I've read, you know, peer-reviewed articles on your nutrient timing in terms of like, how much carbs should I have before my workout and protein, and how much I should have after. And like, basically, essentially, it came to the conclusion that having a mix of carbs and protein after your workout help you recover better.
Got it.
It's supposed to be like within 30 minutes. However, I don't really go into, unless I'm working with an athlete. Like, I've worked with a couple of people who do competitive training, and when they do that, we get more into nutrient timing. But if I'm working with just normal individuals, like, I really like, remember how I talked about those levels? It's like,
yeah,
you don't need to like adhere to that level of difficulty when it comes to nutrition. It's just making sure like the other thing, like, you know, I want you to get your calories in the entire day. If that means that you start eating at 6 a.m. and you don't finish till 9 p.m., that's okay. You don't need to eat in a window. And actually, intermittent fasting is not good for women because it throws off our hormones. So that's like another thing about the difference between men and women. Like, for men, I've heard that intermittent fasting can be super helpful, but I hate it when men also push women to try to do that because it actually messes up our hormones. So it's not good to lower that amount of time that you're eating in. As long as you're eating in the day and you're getting all of your calories and your nutrients met, that's all that matters.
I haven't.
How do you know if you're hungry or you're just, okay, so being bored, like bored eating is such a true thing. What I like to do is drink a glass of water, sit with it. Sometimes even journal to be like, am I bored right now? Or am I actually hungry? And if you're waiting 15 minutes and you still feel like you're hungry, then you're probably needing food. The other thing with this though, is when you track, why it's so helpful to track if you're newer to nutrition or if you've never done it before, is because it does give you an understanding of how much food you need. For example, I took 6 months off of tracking, and I don't track obsessively. Like, I usually don't even track on the weekends, and some days I track, some days I don't now because I understand my body well enough. But sometimes I won't track, and then I'll be like, let me just put everything in for the day just to see where I'm at. And I'll be like 400 calories underneath where I need to be. So it's just, I feel like I always end up under eating if I'm not tracking, which is why I like to track, so that I'm getting enough food in for my body. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
What is a good time, or is there like a rule of when to stop eating, you know, because those.
Nope. That's what I was just talking about. So like, unless a medical condition, or you have like even doctors sometimes, though, you got to make sure they actually have a dietitian background. Unless there's some reason that they tell you shouldn't, like there's no need to stop eating at like 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. Like eat, if you're hungry at night and you're worried about, I mean, just like physically think about that, like mentally. If you're hungry at night and you're like, well, it's past 6 p.m., so I'm not going to eat. So you sit there starving. Do we think that's healthy?
No.
No.
So like you just like, it's honestly common sense at that point, but it's because we've been told in these diets not to do it. So that's why we like put these rules on ourselves, like, oh, I can't eat after 6 p.m., even though I'm hungry and I can tell my body needs it. Any other questions? No? Well, if you guys have questions, I'm going to try to figure out how to send this recording to you so you can look at it again. I'm not like a huge tech savvy person, but I'm going to figure it out. If you have any questions, I'm going to give a follow-up email, and then we'll go from there. Just reach out. You guys know where to find me on Instagram. Thank you for joining. I'm glad that so many people signed up.
Thank you, Hannah.
I
This
think I
was
got like,
truly helpful.
okay, good. Because I got like 60 signups and only 3 of you showed up. So I'm glad you ladies showed up for me. Okay, awesome. Yes, let me know if you have any questions. And if you have any questions about the program, reach out. I'm more than happy to hop on calls with people as well. Have a good night.
What question? You said you were going to open it right after this?
Yep, I'm going to send you the link. I'm going to send a follow-up link right now. Actually, I'll probably send, I'll send the link. Actually, I'll send the link immediately, and then I'll send the replay in a second email later. That's what I'll do.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Very helpful.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good night.
Too.
You too.